Hi guys, and welcome to my first random horror review. That's what I decided to call this series. As I said in my introduction video, if you watched it, most of my channel is going to be reviews, and so I needed a name for this. Even though I'm going to do top 10s, collection updates, whatever else, most of it's reviews, so I need a name for it. Thought random horror review is pretty catchy, and yeah, it is going to be pretty random. It could be a movie that I've seen 100 times compared to one that I've seen once, and it's just sort of whatever I'm feeling, whatever I feel like watching, or I might actually make it completely random and just randomly grab something off my shelf or whatever. But anyway, let's cut the talk about why I named the series, and let's get into the first movie that I will be reviewing for my random horror review, and that is 2021's Candyman. So just a quick breakdown of the plot of this movie. So we have our main character Anthony, who is he starts off as a sort of struggling artist in a way. He's done some good art, but he's sort of at a loss at the moment. Going forward, he's in an apartment with his girlfriend slash I don't know the word for it, I guess art director. Anyway, and he's looking for a new piece to put together. So he goes to find some inspiration, heads to the projects, Cabrini Green. I always have trouble pronouncing Cabrini Green, anyway, in the projects. And while he's there, he meets some people, and he stumbles upon the legend of Candyman. And then obviously it goes on from there. I'll leave the plot at that. I don't want to get too much into the plots with these reviews, especially since it's such a new film. Alright. So, if you don't know, this movie is a direct sequel to the original 90s Candyman. That seems to be the go nowadays anyway. We had Halloween from 2018, even Texas Chainsaw Massacre did it. Direct sequels, they're really common now. And I had pretty high expectations for this one. This is the only movie from 2021 as a far that I've watched twice. I rewatched it because the first time I was really excited for this one. I probably shouldn't have put it on. I was working all day, and I chucked it on late and I fell asleep, so I missed about half the movie. So that's the reason why I've watched this one twice. And as I said, expectations were pretty high. I'm a really big fan of the 90s Candyman. I love Tony Todd. I love the story. I love the whole background and legend of Candyman. So this one had a lot of expectations and high standards for me. It's directed by Nia DaCosta, but also on a most notable name here is Jordan Peele. He is put down for screenplay and as a producer, and I really like Jordan Peele's films. So this one for me, it was a must see for the year. So getting into my thoughts of the film. Did this movie live up to expectations? Yeah, it really did actually get quite up there. So it's hard to really say what I was thinking the first time I watched it, because as I said, I fell asleep. But the first time, I think maybe just because I was really tired, I wasn't really connecting with it, but there were bits and pieces that I really liked, which made me want to revisit it sooner rather than later. And I'm really happy I did. So first of all, this is a pretty mainstream movie, so the things that you expect to be good are good. The acting is really good. The visual effects really good. The way the movie's shot, all that sort of stuff, it's good. It's definitely above average. But the things that I really liked about this movie, first of all, just adding to the legend of Candyman. So in this movie, it sort of breaks down how there's different interpretations of Candyman. As I said, it's a sequel from the 90s one with Tony Todd. And it talks about Tony Todd's version of the Candyman, but it also tells different versions of the Candyman. And we follow this one with a character named Sherman Fields, I believe his name is. And I found that really interesting, and actually that is probably my favourite backstory with the Candyman. I really like the character of Sherman Fields, and I believe that's his name, Sherman Fields, and how he became the Candyman. I found that really interesting, and I like how, with all the characters in this movie, it really, it feels like the how I remember talking about urban legends, in school and everything. Everyone has their own version of Candyman in this movie, and I found that really, really cool. Another thing that I really liked in this movie, it's a really small thing, but I really enjoyed these scenes a lot. And the first time I watched it, I remember there being a couple, but rewatching through it, they're sprinkled throughout the movie, and it's really, really good. And I feel like it adds something different and adds a new layer to the movie, and it sort of changes up the formula. And it has these little shadow puppet sequences throughout the movie, and not only do they look really good, they add to the story. They're not just there to change it up. It's mostly for flashbacks. If they're talking about, as I said, Sherman Fields, or there's this really long montage at the end. I think it's maybe even when the credits are running, of the other versions of Candyman and other versions of his story out there. And I thought those are really, really engaging. And as I said, it gives you a good change up and a good mixture of what you're watching. It's a good, interesting way of showing flashbacks of characters in the story. As I said, I really like all of our characters in this movie. We have our lead actor. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce his name. I'm probably going to butcher this. Yahya Abdul-Mateen. Yeah, he's really, really good in this movie. You also have that guy from Euphoria. People are probably going to be screaming his name, but once again, his name sort of escapes me at the moment. I really liked him in the movie too. Yeah, as I said, the acting and all that is really good. We have, once again, I forget the actress's name, but she played Helen Lyle from the first movie. She comes back. She doesn't play the same character, but I thought that was just a cool nod. Even towards the end, there's another cool nod to an actor. I won't get into that because, as I said, this movie's pretty new. And with that, I haven't heard many people review this one or talk about this one too much yet. So I'm not sure what other people are thinking of this movie, but as you can probably tell, I really did like it. As I said, my expectations were high because I really do like the 90s Candyman. And, going into this, I didn't know that it was a direct sequel to the first one either. I thought it was a remake. So I was pleasantly surprised with the callbacks. It wasn't too jarring with the callbacks either. I know a lot of movies just want to do fan service and do major callbacks, and they want the fans to go, "Oh, I remember that." It wasn't too jarring. I found it bearable, and I felt like it did add a lot to the story. Negatives for this movie, honestly, there's not a lot. It can get a little slow at parts, and I think maybe even on a few of the shots, a little bit too artsy, that sort of took me out, as in some camera tricks and whatever. But overall, I would say this movie is really, really good. I was pleasantly surprised, and it is one of my favorites of the year. So with that being said, I don't really have much else to say. So I'm going to give this a rating out of 10. I do my ratings out of 10, and I can do like 0.5s and whatever. So this one, for me, Candyman 2021, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I found this one pretty solid. I'm keen to see other people's opinions on this movie. As I said, I don't really know. I haven't really looked up too many reviews. But for me, this was a very pleasant surprise. So, I just wanted to say thank you for watching my first ever random horror review. Hopefully I covered the film pretty well. Excuse me, mouth is getting a bit dry. Hopefully I covered the film pretty well. I'm not that used to doing reviews on camera, so if you guys feel like giving me some feedback, or if you just feel like discussing the movie, feel free to do that in the comments. But I just wanted to say thank you again for watching my random horror review. Hopefully my reviews do get better over time, the more experience I get doing it. But for the first movie, Candyman 2021, 9 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video. Peace everyone.